True. True.
True.
Yeah. Okay.
True.
What's good? How are y'all feeling? We got Solo in the building early. What's good, Solo? How are you doing? We got Bree coming through early. Y'all already know the vibes was good with you, Bree. How you doing? How was y'all weekend? How are y'all feeling? How are y'all feeling? I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. Actually, I'm tired of shit. I ain't gonna hold you. I'm tired as hell. I think I slept for 27 minutes. I mean, it was a long weekend. Yesterday was my wife's birthday. Shout out to all the Sag. It is Sag season. Y'all already know the vibes. Give it up for Sag season. I sure look tired too. Hell yeah. I just, listen. Yes, minutes. I slept for 27 minutes. Listen, I don't know what came over everyone, but yeah. You know what I'm saying? 27 minutes is what your boy had to sleep. I'm going to figure it out, though, because that's the type of time that I be on. But I'm here. You know what I'm saying? W consistency. I'm fucking here and I'm tired as hell. But we're going to get it. We're going to get it going. We're going to get it going. I said, listen, the people love to see me on Monday. So I got to make sure I show up for the folks on Monday. You feel me? For that financial entertainment. Also, if I happen to just randomly freaking pass out on this stream, then you know why. So I need some food. I'm going to get some food in a second. But yeah, what's good with y'all? What's good? I'm going to be up here about an hour. As you know, I normally stream for about an hour. You know, so I'm gonna have to get straight to work because I don't know what we're gonna end up talking about today. I don't know what we're gonna end up seeing. All I know is the market is actually open. That is a change of pace for us when we're talking about financial entertainment because normally when we talk, the market is not open. It is pre-market, right? So what are we talking about today? What's going on? First of all, before we get into anything specific, check Amazon for PS5. It's supposed to be on sale. Listen, shout out to Solo. She keeping your boy up to date, letting me know like, hey, you want a damn PS5? You better go on Amazon, see what they're talking about. I thought I saw something yesterday that said it's crazy how inflation is so high that PS5s are on sale for the original price that they dropped for. Is that true, chat? How much were PS5s when they first dropped? Because I definitely see on Amazon, and I'll pull this up. On Amazon, chat, PS5 right there says deal selling fast, $399. Order it, you can get it tomorrow. How many the digital edition. So that's the one where I believe you don't buy any disc, right? But who really is buying disc these days? Don't you just download all the games? Just download all the games, right? So shout out to Solo for that information. Chat, if you're in the market for a PS5, they got them on Amazon. They got one right there, a slim one, for $399 on sale. I'm gonna have to check Costco too. Because I know Costco, like, that's the thing that always pissed me off, because you'll see this, it'll be like, all right, bet, that's a good deal, $399. I'm assuming it's a good deal. But then you go to Costco, and it'd be like $350, but comes with 2 controllers, a controller charging dock, and 18 games, plus an external drive. Like, what? Like, it come with all that? Yeah, so I'm gonna have to check Costco too. But let's get into it, chat. Before I do, you already know the vibes. I gotta give y'all my little disclaimer. I don't want CMB. Yeah, I'm tired. The disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor. I'm not a financial analyst. I am not certified financial planner. I'm not an accountant. I'm not a tax accountant. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm a nobody. I am just regular old true. And I'm going to provide you some financial entertainment. Hold on, chat. Thank you. Some breakfast for your boy. Breakfast delivered. And I normally don't. Hold on. Check PlayStation Store, because I believe you can beat that price. Yeah, I'm gonna check that too. See what's good. I normally don't eat on stream, but today I'm gonna have to make an exception so I don't die on stream as well. So I don't know what it's gonna sound like to y'all, but I gotta eat this. I gotta eat this toast. But not a financial advisor. This is all financial entertainment, chat. So what we talking about? You already know the vibe. CNBC, right? This is where we're gonna start our morning off. This is where we always start off. We got our Christmas bar, all green right now. The VIX. It don't normally show the VIX. It normally show the Treasury. My brain is fried. It normally shows the Treasury, like the interest rates. But the VIX, so you guys know what the VIX is. Let's talk about it. The VIX is the volatility index. So the VIX, or CBOE, trying not to die. Excuse me. The CBOE volatility index indicates the market's 30-day expectation of stock market volatility based on the pricing of S&P 500 options, right? So a high VIX suggests increased fear, uncertainty, and expected price swings, while a low VIX, shout out to Jay Vaxer, who just wanted to flex on the chat. Shout out to Jay Vaxxer. He flex. Listen, right now, Jay Vaxxer, you are the biggest flexer, my guy. That was a huge flex. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask me, listen, I don't know. I don't know if I could just take somebody flexing on me like that, but God damn! That's a lot of bread that man just dropped on the table. You feel me? So a low VIX indicates lower expected volatility and market calm. So it's often called the fear index because it tends to rise during periods of market stress. Shout out to Shaw in the building. What's good, Shaw? Let's go to YouTube really quick. Because I'm not going to lie. There's some things that, we're definitely going to go through CNBC. But let's see if we can get someone to explain the VIX on our behalf for us, like a real short video. Right. Okay, so here's a short video. This is going to allow me to stuff my face with this food really quick. Wow, hold up. This one got 179,000 views. This one got 33,000 views. Can this show us some of the... Okay. A very important market indicator. This one is 6 years ago. This one, let's look at Charles Schwab first. Let's see what Charles Schwab got to say, chat. Let's see what Charles Schwab got to say.
Implied volatility levels can tell you a lot about the market. One of the most useful is the market sentiment, or to put it another way, whether traders are feeling more bullish or bearish. There's one important index that can help you identify current implied volatility levels. It's called the VIX. Sometimes it's referred to as a fear index. It's a helpful tool that allows investors to determine market sentiment. It can also be used by option traders to help make trading decisions. Let me show you how it works. First, let's discuss how the VIX works. To do this, you need to understand the relationship between stock prices and implied volatility. When stock prices are expected to make a big move up or down, investors typically purchase more options. For example, suppose the market has been falling for a few days. This would cause many investors to become protective of their stock positions. As a result, many of these investors might buy options as a form of protection. This increase in demand suggests there's more uncertainty in the market. This leads to higher implied volatility levels, which helps market makers price in this higher level of uncertainty. Investors look to the Cboe Market Volatility Index, or the VIX, to determine the implied volatility levels for the overall market. This index tracks the implied volatility for the S&P 500 index options. If the VIX is rising, demand for options is increasing and therefore becoming more expensive. If the VIX is falling, there's less demand and options prices tend to fall. To understand this relationship, put yourself in the shoes of a market maker. As a market maker, you sell a product which grows in value if certain situations occur. So if you're sitting at your desk one day and you start seeing more and more orders coming in for an option, you might think these traders know something you don't, and the markets will make a big move soon. So you'd likely raise prices to price in this uncertainty. These higher prices also have another effect.
I talk about investing every Monday, J-Vax. Come through. I try to touch on different areas each week, but definitely make sure you tap in because this is financial entertainment. Anything you see here, chat, make sure you do your own due diligence. We're having someone explain the VIX to us at the moment. True is operating off of 20 minutes of sleep, 27 minutes. And I'm just trying to stuff my face with this food really quick. So, yeah, but we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about a few different things. Let's go.
They attract option sellers. Now, for example, suppose the level of uncertainty in the market increases and options premiums are now higher. Traders who felt the volatility was too high and would soon fall would begin selling options. And this is exactly what market makers want, more order flow. If more option sellers appear, implied volatility levels will likely begin to fall. Let's look at some examples of where the VIX spiked and what might have caused it. From October 2014 to January 2015, the S&P 500 had three major sell-offs in October, December, and January. Now let's look at the VIX. Notice how it spikes with each sell-off. These spikes indicate a rise in uncertainty in the markets. Now let's look back at the 2008 bear market, a moment of profound fear. Here we see the VIX skyrocketed. This is impressive. However, watch what happens when I draw a price line at the 49 mark. When the VIX is at this level, it tends to correspond to a bottom in the market. Obviously, 2008 is an outlier, but if you were an option seller, you can imagine how high prices would have been. In fact, recognizing high implied volatility is one way market makers create their positions. Just like with stocks, you can buy low and sell high with volatility, or sell high and buy low. Accordingly, market makers often sell options when implied volatility is high in an attempt to allow time decay to create their profits. Put it in your calendar today to make watching the VIX part of your trading routine.
Yeah, so implied volatility. I mean, implied volatility is definitely one of those things that is a little trickier to learn, especially how it moves in terms of the buying and selling when it comes to the market. But one of the huge indicators is fear and greed, right? So let's look up the fear and greed index, because a lot of times they work hand in hand. So this one has, let's see, 16,000 views. And this one's from CNN. So this could be a good one. We don't want we don't want one that's too long. We just want one that's kind of short. So maybe we'll watch that one and see what information it gives us. Let's see.
Investors can be emotional, and you can profit from that. CNN Money's Fear and Greed Index can help. It reveals when traders are too bullish or too bearish, giving you a chance to take the other side. Here's how it works. Our Fear and Greed Index tracks 7 indicators of investor sentiment. The most well-known factor is the Volatility Index, or VIX for short. When stocks fall, the VIX usually goes higher, and the Fear and Greed Index swings toward fear. When stocks rise, the VIX goes down, and our index swings toward greed. There's also market momentum, the number of stocks hitting new highs versus new lows, and the volume of shares going up compared to going down. It's not just about stocks either. The index looks at demand for risky junk bonds, safer treasuries, and stock market options. We weight them equally to get a final reading between 0 and 100. Lower numbers signal fear and higher numbers indicate greed. But let's get back to you. How the Fear and Greed Index can make you money. Extreme fear can be a sign that investors are too...
Let's go. Hey. Shout out to the raid. Shout out to Pay for the raid. Y'all already know the vibes. Turn up, chat. Put them emotes in the chat. Put them emotes in the chat. Let's go. We got Pay in the building. We got Vaughn in the building. Everybody coming through on the raid. Let's go. Make sure y'all put them Bonnet Gang raids emotes in the chat. Let's go. We're going to get back to it after this little turn up right here. And now that we got that raid alert, let's get Pay alert going. Hey. Let's go. Let's go. What's good, Vaughn? How you doing? I got Ice in the building. Emotes. Listen, chat. Whenever you get a raid, whenever you get your people coming through, turning up for you like this, listen, you gotta go in for them. You feel me? Shout out to Pay. Shout out to Pay. You know what I'm saying? At first when that alert came through, I'm looking around like,
what the hell is even that?
Oh, that's a raid. Let's go. So what we're talking about here, we're talking about the VIX, the Volatility Index, right? And in this short video, I can run it back. This is only a minute video. But I think this is important because the volatility index essentially is an indicator of the fear and greed in the market, right? So if you're somebody who's new to investing, how can fear and greed help you? Well, there's this saying that you should be fearful when people are greedy and be greedy when people are fearful, right? But why is that? Well, because on one end of the spectrum, you have stocks going up. Let's call it shooting to the moon, right? And in those type of environments, certain people are going to say, hey, things are going up. I want to get in. I don't want to miss out. So I'm going to buy more. And that's inadvertently going to continue to push the market up because you're going to have a lot of buying activity. And when you have that buying activity, the volatility is going to be going down, right? The market's not going to be really volatile because it's going in one direction. But on the other side of that coin, when things start to go down, right, people start to get fearful, volatility starts to go up, right? You start to get a lot of selling added into, people still buying. So what this video is explaining is essentially how the fear and greed index works. So let's
Investors can
rewatch
be
that for
emotional,
our Raiders
and you
that
can
just
profit
came
from
in.
that. CNN Money's
Did you hear that? Hear it again.
Investors can be emotional, and you can profit from that.
That is a huge thing, right? And that's why they say over 90%, over 95% of investors typically fail because they're emotional, right? So a big part of the investing journey is controlling your emotions. If you can control your emotions, you can regulate your risk, you can have strategies put in place. This is one of the ways you can become a great investor. You have to understand that as many times as I said it, the stocks or the equities or the ETFs, whatever you decide to invest in, they're going to do this. They're always going to do that. They're going to go up, they're going to go down, right? So it's important for you to not chase those moves. I read something a couple of weeks ago in my book that I haven't been able to find, which I'll locate at some point. But it said, imagine if you only played the trade after a good earnings was confirmed and you played the trade after the confirmation of the stock going up. And it set a percentage of how often you would win if you just did that strategy. So when you're playing off of people emotions, that's pretty much anything in life, chat, right? Think about even, for example, let's say, let me go full screen really quick, right? Let's say, for example, you're thinking about Jake Paul, right? Why did I mention Jake Paul? Because Jake Paul has been signing, I guess, contracts with different people. He tried to sign a contract with Tank. He tried to sign a contract with Anthony Joshua. He tried to sign a contract with the other dude. I can't think of his name right now. But why does boxing work in people's favor, right? Why do they have the face-offs? Typically, a boxing match, chat, whether people like to believe it or not, a boxing match is won in the face-off. Why? Because if I can go into a face-off and I can stare you in your eyes and I see any fear in you, I see any emotion that's not locked into the match, if I see any bitch in you, trust me, you already lost. That's the main way you're going to lose a fight, by thinking that you cannot defeat an opponent. That's the emotional state. That's the same thing you do in sports and other areas of life as well. You take advantage of people's emotions, right? So they're talking about that when it comes to trading. When people are fearful, that's a time to be greedy. When people are greedy, that's a time to be fearful. Why? Think of like a herd mentality, right? If everyone is running in the same direction, there's going to be some people that get trampled, right? So if you are able to run or operate against the grain, you could technically benefit a lot from those scenarios. So that's just an example of kind of what they're talking about. So let's get back to the video. It's a 1-minute video, but let's see what they're talking about.
CNN Money's Fear and Greed Index can help. It reveals when traders are too bullish or too bearish, giving you a chance to take the other side. Here's how it works. Our Fear and Greed Index tracks 7 indicators of investor sentiment. The most well-known factor is the Volatility Index, or VIX for short. When stocks fall, the VIX usually goes higher, and the Fear and Greed Index swings toward fear. When stocks rise, the VIX goes down, and our index swings toward greed. There's also market momentum, the number of stocks hitting new highs versus new lows, and the volume of shares going up compared to going down. It's not just about stocks either. The index looks at demand for risky junk bonds, safer treasuries, and stock market options. We weight them equally to get a final reading between 0 and 100. Lower numbers signal fear and higher numbers indicate greed. But let's get back to you. How the Fear and Greed Index can make you money. Extreme fear can be a sign that investors are too worried. That could be a buying opportunity. But when investors get too greedy, that may mean stocks are due for a dip. Don't take it from me. As Warren Buffett famously said, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful.
There you go.
Happy trading.
I didn't even realize they had that quote in there. And honestly, my brain is so fried right now. I forgot who actually mentioned that quote. But that's exactly what's going on, right? Be fearful when others are greedy and be greedy when others are fearful, right? So there's a, let me see. There's another clip I want to show you guys. But before I do, I want to show you guys the, here we go. I want to show you guys the Fear and Greed Index, right? So the Fear and Greed Index, for this one, like this CNN.com, right? You can go to markets and you can go to Fear and Greed, right? So you see here is extreme fear. Chat, do y'all see that? If anybody's tapped into the market right now, a year ago, there was greed. A month ago, there was fear. A week ago, extreme fear, and then the previous close, extreme fear. What did Warren Buffett say, right? If Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of our time, do you think that what he says has some merit to it? Most people aren't going to listen though, right? Extreme fear. Again, I'm not here to tell people what to do or what to buy, but this is the Fear and Greed Index. Extreme fear, fear, neutral, greed, extreme greed. And right now it's sitting at a very low number of 14. 14. And there's reasons for that, right? So again, it's useful to look at a stock market levels compared to where they've been over the past few months. When the S&P 500 is above its moving or rolling average of the prior 125 trading days, that's a sign of positive momentum. But if the index is below this average, it shows investors are getting skittish. The Fear and Greed Index uses slowing momentum as a signal for fear and a growing momentum for greed. Let me tell you, if you want to make money, again, this is not financial advice. Wouldn't it make sense that when folks are fearful, you start buying when things are getting low, right? When things are getting low, isn't that a time that you want to invest? And again, because of the emotional piece of it, you do have to have essentially diamond hands, as they would say, right? You have to be not completely emotionally detached, but you have to understand that what you're doing by going against the grain. Shout out to Vaughn for the biddies. Let's go. Definitely appreciate the biddies. But you have to understand that in that time there's going to be some movement in the market to the downside, right? Because again, when people are fearful, what are they doing? They're selling because they think something's going to happen. Look, this was 14. It's now 13. Right? And I told you guys before what we go into at the end of the year, which is the Santa Claus rally. So these are all things to pay attention to. I'm gonna put this link in the chat. I'm gonna put this link in the chat and pin it. This is the fear and greed index, chat. Fear and greed index, right? So those are things to pay attention to again. And like I said, give me 1 second because I do want to show one other video that'll give you guys a visual of what to think about. Let me try to find the video real quick. Okay. I think this is it. I think. Let me see.
Look at that.
Okay. Yep. I think this is the video. So this gives you guys a good idea of how you can look at fear and greed, right? Watch this video. This is going to basically lock it in for some people, right? Watch this video. This is less than a minute long. And just think about what's happening and why they're making the decisions that they're making. Watch this.
Look at that. Holy shit.
That looks like the World Trade Center.
That's New York, isn't it? It's the Twin Towers, you dick.
Yesterday was a total bloodbath. Today, we're not losing any money. Nada.
This is one of the World Trade Center towers in Manhattan. Seems to
A plane's crashed into the World Trade Center.
What? Are you joking?
No, turn on your TV.
Have you seen the size of
think
that
this is
hole?
the video.
That's got to be a commercial plane.
It's pretty odd. Logan, can you tell me if you can see any planes?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, I can't see any.
We've got to short the market.
What are you talking about?
We've got to bet against the market before it collapses, and we've got to do it now.
So again, shorting the market is betting against the market. So right now, as you can see on those screens, everything is green, right? Which means that's a time where folks are basically being greedy. People are buying. Everything's going up. Buy, 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 right? So everything's green. So this guy is like, yo, we need to short the market. Everybody's being greedy, or this is the time to be fearful, right? And then when people are fearful, that's the time to be greedy. So why?
What makes you think the market will collapse?
Because it's a terrorist attack.
They didn't show the whole thing. That was weird. That was weird. Hold up. That was weird. But the point of that is
Filling that fair value gap.
what happens after that is he goes, well, why would we buy? Let me see if I can find just the extended version of that one. Cause this, I'm definitely not going to show the 18-minute version, but there is a version that's slightly longer.
Look at that.
I'm sorry. Cause I want you guys to really see. Let's see. Let's see. I want you guys to really see this. And some people may have actually seen this. Let's see. This is
Did you guys know that just before 9/11 put out
these are
Did you guys-
shorts. These are shorts. Let me see. I typed in the wrong word. Let's see. Well, the name of it is Free Fall. Let me see if I can just type in Free Fall YouTube short film. Let me see. Because I would have think it would have showed more even in that short clip. Let's see if this one does us any justice. If this one doesn't, I'll just basically explain the end of it. But let's see if this one does us any justice. Okay, here we go. Let's see if this does us any justice.
Okay. Yesterday was a total bloodbath. Today, we're not losing any money. Nada.
A bad day. 20,000 traders have just been fired, sacked, gone.
They go straight into weapons, BAE system. Get more of that price. I don't give a shit, just buy the damn thing.
This is them actually short market.
Lads, look at that. Mark, turn your TV on. You gotta see this.
This one might not show it either, but I'll tell you right after.
We have a responsibility to our investors. We have to think this through.
You are this close to being fired.
No, I wouldn't do this unless I was convinced I was right.
You sure you want to put your career on the line for this?
I know you guys are the best. So for fuck's sake, prove it.
But apparently it's called Free Fall, and they refuse to show the actual good part. But the short of it, chat, is, as you can see from those clips, the guy basically says, he basically says, we need to short the market, right? And he goes, why would we do that? Everything's green. And the dude goes, because it's a fucking terrorist attack. And he goes, but the market is green. Basically questioning him like, that's a dumb decision. You're going to tell us to go against an all green market? And he's like, if it's a terrorist attack, then why aren't the markets red? Why aren't they moving? And the dude basically says, because everyone is glued to the fucking TV, right? Which makes perfect sense. It's like, everyone's watching the terrorist attack right now, so nobody's doing anything. So while we have this information and this opportunity, we can take advantage of it, right? And that's what they did, basically. They started shorting everything. And then the second plane hits. And then the market starts to absolutely tank. And then when that happens, they make a shit ton of money, right? So, and that basically created volatility in the market, right? Because then people started to get really fearful, because if a terrorist attack happens, oh, the market's cooked. The market's cooked. So if people are being fearful, that's the time where you might want to be greedy, because it's like, yo, people are selling. And either I'm going to buy or I'm going to short. And as this stuff is tanking, As this stuff is tanking, that's when I'm going to really make some money. So that's fear and greed. That's volatility. But let's get back to CNBC, right? So at the moment, here's a look at the CBOE, the volatility index. So as you can see, at one of the highest points of the year is April 8th, right? April 8th, the volatility index was all the way up around 57. Right now, it's about 21, right? So it's a little above the average, but it's not at its highest point. So watching the volatility index is a good indicator to let you know what's happening in the market. Are people fearful or are people greedy? You can also check the fear and greed index, right, chat? So shout out to that, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to get into our CNBC. Let me write this down. You know, I take notes, chat. So let's see what they're talking about. The one reason why we like CNBC, again, they have plenty of articles. It lets us know what to look out for the week. It lets us know about, you know, what's going on in the economy, what things have changed over the weekend, what's happening that we don't know about. So reading articles, at least reading the titles of the articles and making some assumptions gives us a good idea. This is the week for Thanksgiving. Not everybody celebrates Thanksgiving, but at the end of the day, Thanksgiving is going to happen. and people are going to spend their money on food, and they're going to run up some of the profits in some of these stores because buying food is still going to make someone profitable, right? So Novo Nordisk shares plunge to 4-year low after Alzheimer drug trial fails to hit key target, right? So they're obviously doing drug trials on Alzheimer's drugs, and the trial failed. If you had to ask me, I'm guessing that maybe somebody forgot to do something. Sorry, not making fun of Alzheimer's, but that was a good opportunity for that joke, right? No? Eli Lilly hits $1 trillion market value, a first in healthcare. S&P 500 rises as AI trade attempts comeback led by Alphabet. Alphabet is Google, chat. Ukraine desperate to keep Trump on its side in peace talks while saving its sovereignty. Listen, everyone should be desperate to keep Trump on their side. I've said this a million times. Trump does not play when it comes to getting his get back. Yo, if anybody gonna get their lick back, it's gonna be Trump. I'm trying to tell you. So that's not one dude. And again, we're impartial. We're not saying who we're for or who we're against. We're just reading the articles. We're making assumptions and we're letting people know what's going on. But I'm telling you right now, the president is a YN. And if you get on his bad side, he's already proved it before, right? I was a president for a year. For my first term as president. You guys were on some bullshit. Y'all weren't on my side. Y'all thought I was never going to be back in the White House because you thought you was going to impeach me, all this other stuff. Well, look, I'm back and I'm on your ass. I'm on your ass. Trump came through, looked at everybody in the face and said, hey,
you're cooked, brother.
You're cooked. Forgot to take the medicine. Step back in the building. You already know the vibes. Michael Burry launches newsletter to lay out his AI bubble views after deregistering hedge fund. So Michael Burry, for those who don't know, if you ever seen The Big Short, right? Michael Burry was the guy that movie was about. What was The Big Short? For those of you who were old enough to remember, in 2008, there was a housing bubble in which, if you never watched the movie Big Short, first of all, watch it. Because some of these movies are actually really good movies. And at the same time, they actually teach you about the market, teach you about investing at least a little bit. So Michael Burry's deal was the housing bubble. What was one of the things they portrayed as causing the housing bubble? Well, interest rates were low. Housing payments were low. People were taking adjustable rate mortgages. Again, I mentioned it before, but we haven't gone deep into that subject yet, but an adjustable rate mortgage basically says if I buy a house, I'll start off with a low interest rate now. And during certain increments of time, that interest rate will increase. So let's say, for example, I buy a house today and I'm on an adjustable rate mortgage. In the terms of my contract, it may say, hey, for the first 2 years of my loan, I'm going to start off with a 0.5% to 1% interest rate. What's that going to do for me? Well, my mortgage payment is probably going to be, let's call it $500 a month. But then also it may say over the next 10 years, my rate can adjust, right? So over the next 10 years, let's call it every 2 years, the interest rate adjusts by 1 or 1.5%, right? So the thought behind one of the housing bubbles is that a lot of people were getting multiple houses because they were able to get into these adjustable rate mortgages. They say, hey, I can afford a payment of $2,000 a month. If I can get an adjustable rate mortgage, I'm going to go out, and if the mortgage payment's only $500, I'm going to buy me 4 houses, right? And then when the adjustable rate kicked in and all of a sudden interest rates went from 1% up to 5 or 6%, and payments went from $500 up to $1,500 per house, now you have a person who could only afford $2,000 a month required to make a payment of almost $8,000. $8,000, chat.
You're cooked, brother.
They were cooked. People saw them bills come in the mail. God damn. They're like, I ain't got it, cuh. I absolutely don't have it for you. All I had was the $1,500, and that $1,500 was supposed to pay for 3 of my houses. I got 1 rented out, so somebody was paying that one. And then they were cooked because nobody could afford the payments anymore. And when you had people who bought 3, 4, 5 houses, right? Especially if they was like, yo, I'm balling. In the movie, they use an example of a stripper. Like the strippers were making hella bread and the strippers were just buying houses up. And everybody was balling. These strippers just was buying houses. And then all of a sudden these payments went up and these strippers was like, I ain't got it. So you had full neighborhoods of nice houses basically vacant. People who were actually in there who could afford the houses. Values dropped so much in the houses, they just didn't want the house anymore. They were trying to give the house away. They have $1 million house and like, yo, I'll sell you this house for $200,000. I'm just trying to get out of it. They were cooked. The neighborhood was cooked, right? So how did that create a housing bubble? Well, if nobody's paying their mortgage, these banks aren't getting paid. These banks are getting paid. They aren't earning profit. They aren't earning interest off of these payments. So eventually it got to a point where banks started to collapse. And collapse meaning they went bankrupt. They went out of business. Banks and other entities, insurance companies that were insuring these houses, they weren't getting paid. Like nobody was getting paid except Michael Burry, who said, yo, I saw this coming because everyone's an idiot and I'm not. So just like in that little clip I showed you about 9/11, Michael Burry said, hey, I'm going to bet against the market. And if you watch the movie, he went through a lot of trial. I mean, he went down so deep in his portfolio. He was literally on the verge of going crazy because he was losing so much money. And then one day, exactly as he expected, the housing market started to collapse. And he instantly started making damn near millions of dollars a second. It's an exaggeration, but you get what I'm saying. So, Michael Burry. So now, anytime he opens his mouth, anytime he does something, people watch him because he straight up destroyed the market during that housing bubble. So now he's saying, again, chat, newsletter to lay out his AI bubble views after deregistering hedge fund. So what are those views? You might want to check it out. Not going to say he knows exactly what's going on, but he damn sure know more than me, chat. He damn sure know more than me, and I can tell you that for a fact. So Trump administration unresponsive after container ship fire. Port of Los Angeles chief says. So a container ship caught on fire. There's all types of stuff that they normally ship in those containers. And, you know, like everything, when something happens, they always look to the administration to be like, what are you going to do? Right? Everyone's house is on fire in California. They look at the president. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Turbulent November market puts the onus back on the bulls to show resilience. That's basically saying, listen, the market's going down right now, bruh. We need you guys to step in. All you guys who are perma bulls who only bet that the market's going to go up, well, make it happen. Buy some stuff. That's basically what they're saying. So here are Monday's biggest analyst calls. I told you, so I was going to show NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla. It's going to show the big guys in there. Ferrari, right? Shout out to F1. F1 had the race. If y'all haven't seen that, you know, they had some big name celebrities showing up. That is another reason the prices for F1 be going crazy because big name celebrities show up and they drop hella bread. They want the best of the best, so they're going to charge you. But all I know is, did y'all see Lewis Hamilton helmet, bruh? Did y'all see that helmet? Look at this helmet. Yo, if y'all, first of all, if y'all don't love Lewis Hamilton, I don't know what to tell you. But Lewis Hamilton be putting that shit on, bro. Bro don't miss a beat. But this helmet, yo, this helmet, chat. This helmet, let's find out. This helmet, chat, look at this, man. Come on now. Look at that. For those of you who don't know what's going on in that helmet, right? This man had the shimmery helmet. This thing was so damn shiny. Like, he was on his J-Vaxxer. He was on his absolute J-Vaxxer, chat. He came in like, listen, I just wanted to flex on you niggas. That's what he said. I just want to flex. I'm with Ferrari and my helmet is shining on you niggas. So yeah, back to our articles, right? So Monday, November 24th, 2025, Jim Cramer discusses his next moves for the investing club. So Jim Cramer has an investing club. I'm pretty sure if you click this, it'll show a QR code. You know, it's good information in it. You know, can't doubt Cramer, but, you know, inverse Cramer, as they say. Here's what's behind Tesla's 3-year sales low in China. Well, I don't have to read this, but if I had to make an assumption, I'm thinking China got their own things going on. They got the BYD. They got them other vehicles that I feel like they're trying to push those. But if you see here, Tesla's absolutely shitting on the market right now. So while they're talking about Tesla's 3-year sales low, Tesla's up $25 today, 6%, going into the Thanksgiving holiday, chat. And for those of you who don't know, listen, for those of you who don't know, we mentioned it before, we'll mention it again, the Tesla robo-taxis are clearing them certifications, right? They're going to absolutely run the fucking streets. I'm trying to tell y'all right now, what is good? Shout out to Trinity J in the building. Y'all already know the vibe. Show the girl some love. We over here talking as we normally do. This is financial entertainment, Trend. This is what we're talking about. And again, a look for that Lewis Hamilton helmet. Yo, Lewis Hamilton be putting that shit on. All I know is when I saw that helmet and how that shit was shining, God damn, that is the only logical response. God damn. Lewis Hamilton is absolutely that nigga. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, chat, 3-year sales low. Come on now. Look at Tesla's up $25. It's up $25. If we actually click on the chart, what did we say earlier? Be greedy when others are fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy. I mean, look at the price. Look at the chart. Look at the chart. People look at this chart and be like, yeah, Tesla's shit, right? Because they were almost at $500. Now they're back at $400. Like, these are money-making opportunities. Let's move on. Kohl's picks new CEO after turbulent year and sales declines. Listen, I don't know this guy, but if he's a black CEO, all I got to tell you is black CEOs are doing their thug thizzle. Because if y'all haven't been hip, listen, Red Lobster's life has been saved by a young black man who added seasoning to the menu. All he did was add seasoning, Chad. So shout out to the black CEOs. You requested a song and I was cracking up when it played. Oh, yeah. I'm doing well. I'm tired as hell. I'm operating off of 27 minutes of sleep. And yeah, I don't know how the rest of this day is going to go. But shout out to the black CEOs. Listen, the fact that they keep putting black CEOs in positions of power after all the shit that's been happening with the economy in this country, listen, they need us, chat. They need us. Exactly. I don't know what the hell I'm thinking about 27 minutes of sleep. It's crazy. That's a long story, but I do have coffee. So shout out to that. Wedbush believes this used car seller could be a market leader by next year. They talking about Carvana. I told y'all before, Carvana is definitely going to have a monopoly on used cars. Carvana, CarMax, Amazon, right? One day y'all going to be scrolling through Amazon and y'all going to be like,
what the hell is even that?
Exactly. Like, why is there a car showing up on my list on Amazon? When Prime Day comes up and Cyber Monday comes up and you see a goddamn Honda Accord on there for the low, right under the PS5, y'all can be like, why is there a car on there? And just realize you heard it here. Like, damn, True told us they was going to be selling used cars on Amazon. It's going to be right next to the tiny houses. I promise you. Carvana, because they don't haggle, right? When you go to a dealership for a used car and you can find somebody who doesn't haggle, Carvana, listen, they are so beyond haggling. They like, listen, we are not even going to talk to y'all niggas for real. You know what I'm saying? They're going to say, listen, If you are looking for a sales representative,
You're cooked, brother.
you're cooked. We only doing online business. Go online, put your information in, get approved for the car, pick the car you want, select your delivery date, and when that day comes, just make sure you're at home so you can sign this paper. There'll be a driver dropping off your damn car at your front door. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to being alive another day. That's all you can ask for. But keep your eyes open. I told you, Carvana, CarMax, and Amazon. These is going to be the ones that's going to be running the show because they're not haggling. The days of haggling is over. Shit is too expensive to be haggling. If we're going to haggle anything, we need to be haggling the motherfucking eggs because eggs are expensive as a bitch. God damn. That's what I say every time I see the price of eggs. Like, goddamn, why eggs so expensive? Cars on Amazon with their Amatil service too. Listen. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Amatil services, Amazon Web Services. I told y'all before, whoever was here with me on Monday, we were in here like, all right, let's listen to what True got to say. First thing I said, all right, Amazon Web Services is out. The internet's not going to work for anyone. People are not going to be able to catch their flights because they're not going to be able to check in. Everybody in the chat was like, all right, bet. Let me adjust accordingly. Everybody else on the internet was like, what the hell is going on? That's why we come to CNBC. Many retirees soon must take year-end required withdrawals, and mistakes can be costly. Listen, if you have a retirement account and you withdraw before retirement age, it's going to rip your pockets in half. But sometimes you got to do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? They're changing the way that business is done, the way investing is done. They're changing all that. Did y'all hear that Trump said, yo, we're not going to tax Social Security no more. So if you know somebody, if you got a grandma, a mom, a brother, a sister, an auntie, a cousin, and they out there collecting Social Security, and you see them this Thanksgiving, and they come out with the goddamn, y'all ever seen that lady with the fur coat? Let me see. The lady with the fur coat, maybe I got to say on couch. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Do I got to type in meme? Come on, Google, help me out. Oh, they just don't want to show me. But let's just say, all right, fuck it. We'll take Kris Jenner. This is gonna be your cousin this Thanksgiving who collects Social Security because their Social Security check that might have been, let's say they was getting $1,400. When they get their next Social Security check and that shit $2,100, listen. Auntie, granny, they acting different. I promise you that, chat. This is why we pay attention. Cash can feel safe, but it doesn't grow your wealth. Cash is a very tricky thing in 2025. Let me tell you why. Excuse me, chat. Sorry. Why is cash a tricky thing? Because there's still old people out here actually using cash, right? But there are also no one out here accepting cash. But then also, if you go into adult entertainment and you see Midnight Ballerina, she's going to want some cash. But then, again, nobody's accepting cash. And then they're no longer manufacturing a lot of coins. So what do you do with the cash that you have? Listen, the only thing you could use cash for nowadays, chat, mark my words, and someone has said this on the internet, is teaching children about money. If you have cash, just have one of each bill, right? Get you a $100 bill, get you a $50 bill, get you a 20, a 10, a 5, a $2 bill, $1 bill, put it to the side. Teach a child about money because children are not going to understand money. Why? Because they're going to see, again, their aunties, their uncles, their grandma, their cousin, especially the ones with the Social Security money, just tapping their phone, tapping their card, and that's how they're going to understand money. To them, money is going to be digital. It's going to be something that you just, hey, I have this app and there's money, and I tap it and I get to walk out of the store with whatever I tap for. So you definitely got to take the time to teach the young folks about money. They say cash can feel safe, but it doesn't grow your wealth. Why? Because if you have the cash in your hand, it's not working for you. If you have $500 in cash in your wallet and someone has $500 in cash in an investment account and they own a Tesla share, they just made $2. You made none. You see that price right there? They just made $2 just now when I was talking. You made none. They just made another $1. You made none. You see how that price is just moving? That's why they say cash can feel safe. The envelope, however, is a good method for budgeting, especially if you don't have a lot of coin. Doge doesn't exist and disbands with 8 months left on its charter. For those of you who don't know what Doge is, they're not referring to Dogecoin. They're referring to the Department of Government Efficiency, which is the department that came in and, according to a lot of people, started destroying people's lives. Why? Because they came in being led by Elon Musk. And when they came in, he straight up said, listen, we're not going to let you guys get away with the bullshit you've been getting away with. Okay? We're not going to let you continue to spend $80,000 on mugs. We're not going to allow you to continue to spend $80,000 on keyboards or whatever you're spending the money on. That shit has got to stop. That's what they came in and did. So they definitely cooked a lot of agencies and they did some good, but listen, there were some casualties. There were some people who was out there minding their business and they straight up got, you know what I'm saying? They felt the brunt of that. Some of those people were part of those DEI efforts, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. Remember? Y'all remember that, chat? A lot of people were losing their jobs. A lot of people who didn't deserve to lose their jobs. Shout out to YZ in the building. What's good, YZ? You already know the vibes. Financial entertainment to start your morning and your week off. It is Thanksgiving week. So y'all got to know what's going on, especially when that market closed. When y'all eating y'all turkey and in the warmth and comfort of your own home, just know, there's people buying this market up because it's extreme fear right now. You feel me? Let's move on. How Alibaba overcame Beijing's crackdown to become an AI giant. You can't stop an Asian company. You can't. You can't stop an Asian company. They don't operate under the same rules and regulations. They don't. They just don't. So how did they become an AI giant? Read the article for yourself and find out. Bridal designer Haley Page lost almost everything in a contract dispute. How she rebuilt her brand. People got to stop. They got to stop with this. Because, listen, you're not going to get our sympathy tears. Right? You're not going to get our sympathy tears. Like, you're a millionaire and you have a dispute or you did some shit you weren't supposed to do. Are we supposed to cry for you? I mean, nothing against people, right? I'm not here to judge. I'm just using examples, right? Nobody's out here crying for Kim Kardashian because she didn't pass the bar. We love a Kim Kardashian, but who the fuck cares? You're rich. Go be rich somewhere. Go sit the hell down. Like, nobody cares how you rebuilt your brand. Bro, just change the name. If you're the designer, just change the name. Okay? That's it. The market is giving hints that it's topping. Use extreme caution. See this? They're giving you signs that, hey, this could go down or it could go up. As I told you before, stocks do this. They do this all day. Shout out to Cabana. First of all, Cabana in the building. Second of all, Cabana with the gifted. Come on, chat. Come on. Cabana with the big body gifted. Y'all gotta stop playing with him. You gotta put some respect on his name. You know what I'm saying? You got Cabana, you got Vaughn, you got Jay Vaxxer. Listen, they flexing today. 56-year-old man got over $170,000 in student loan forgiveness under Trump. I could not believe it. Bro, you're 56. You're 56. You know what I'm saying? But that goes to show you guys, if you guys have student loans and this dude is 56 out here with $170,000, I'm telling you now, you're never going to pay that shit off. Best of luck to you though. Please try, right? Please try for the sake of your own emotional and mental health. Please try. But I'll be real with y'all. This is personal information, but I'll tell you that student loans are absolutely insane. Why? Because I took out a student loan for $15,000, chat. $15,000. I started paying on that loan exactly 6 months after I graduated. I have paid every single month since I've graduated, through the pandemic and all. I have never missed a payment. I have never been late with a payment, right? And because of all the quote unquote benefits around student loans, I refuse to pay it off before I have to. But my balance is still like $5,000. Chat, that's absolutely insane. Why? Why? Do y'all know when I graduated college? Listen, I'm going to just age myself for y'all real quick. I graduated with my bachelor's degree in 2010. Yeah. I know.
What the hell is even that?
Exactly. Shout out to never missing a payment though. You know what I'm saying? And with them gifters from Cabana, I will never miss a payment. You feel me? But god dang, this is a scam. So listen, they got to do something about them student loans because not everybody could do that. And that it is absolutely an issue. But shout out to this man. Shout out to this man who got $170,000 paid off under Trump. What did he do to get forgive? I have no idea. But I know once he saw that, shit yeah, chat. $11 Barbies and $800 iPhones. The gifts parents say kids are asking for the most this holiday season. Listen, I don't know about y'all. I don't know who in the chat got children, but I promise you, I can look you dead in the eye. I promise you, my child will not have an iPhone this Christmas. There's nothing else to be said about that. Trump claims California's $20 fast food minimum wage hurts businesses. The truth is more complicated. What do they got to say about $20 fast food minimums? $20 is pretty good money. Exactly, Ice. They're not getting the $800 iPhone. $20 fast food minimum wage, like, yo, just pay people enough to live. Like, everyone is making just enough to survive in Thailand, right? How much we say you need to survive for a year in Thailand, Ice? Was it $4,000 per year? Listen, we all about to move to Thailand. We're gonna, everyone grab your bags, right? We're gonna meet Trinity J, and we're all going to Thailand, and we're just gonna stream from Thailand because that's the only place we can afford. Because America, god dang, America, listen. Every time we get paid, chat, every time people get paid,
I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked.
That's what you say when you pay your bills. I ain't gonna lie, I'm getting cooked. Cause damn, I gotta pay a cell phone bill, and I gotta pay rent, and I gotta pay for water, I gotta pay for gas and electric, and I gotta pay for a streaming service, and I gotta chat. This too much.
What the hell is even that?
Exactly. But I will give y'all something low key though. Let me give y'all a little tip though. If you are paying for Paramount Plus, let me tell you right now, instead of paying for Paramount Plus, pay for Walmart Plus, right? Because then if you shop at Walmart, you don't have to wait in lines. You could just skip the lines, right? Because you have Walmart Plus. They'll even deliver it to your house for free. And because you have Walmart Plus, they'll give you Paramount Plus for free. Hey, shout out to that. It's a money-making tip, you feel me? When you live in Thailand, what is broke? Exactly. There is no broke. If you coming from America to Thailand, you got to ball out. Everybody, you get a penthouse. You feel me? Shout out to Sun in the building. How you doing, Sun? Just got back home. I feel that. Everybody's traveling in all different times. I definitely feel that. You know what I'm saying? Appreciate everybody in the building today. Y'all already know the vibes. Let's see what else they're saying. This is a lot of articles. Is it just me or this is a lot of articles? This is a lot of articles, chat. But again, we're going into the Thanksgiving holiday, so the market is going to be closed. So they letting you know this is what you need to pay attention to. College grads face one of the toughest job markets in a decade. It's a really difficult time. It absolutely is a difficult time. Coming out of college, getting $170,000 worth of student loans, and then looking at a job application and filling it out and getting the job, and you saying, yeah, this is the career field I chose. And they look you dead in your face and say, we're going to pay you $20 an hour. $20 an hour. And they don't even talk to you. They email that shit to you. So you open up your email and say, we're pleased to offer you $20 an hour.
What the hell is even that?
Yo, we're going to start crashing out. More articles than an English essay assignment in college. You feel me? Hope you're having a good day. Yeah, hope Trinity is having a good day. Make sure y'all check her out if y'all haven't. Let's see if my shout outs will work today. Let's see. Maybe you're just the GOAT. They're just like, no clip shout out. Ice, if you can figure out the clip shout out, let me get a clip shout out for Trinity J. Otherwise, let me tell y'all right now, because the entire internet, if y'all haven't heard, the entire internet is talking about it. Trinity J has the best emotes on Twitch, hands down. Let's give her a round of applause for that. And she's making them shits herself. She's making them herself. I watched the stream intently to learn, and I still can't figure that shit out. So listen, chat, I'm letting you know right now. Doing the thug thizzle, the internet is going crazy about it. Everybody's talking about it. Jim Cramer's top 10 things to watch in the stock market Monday. They mentioned Jim Cramer twice today. Why? Cheapest ways to get the Amazon Prime Visa for the holidays. Nobody cares. Wicked for Good soars $150 million domestic opening. Why do I not feel like that $150 million is a lot? Is it just me? I feel like they deserve so much more. They're like killing The Wicked. And from what I'm understanding, that there's probably going to be another one after that. I have not seen Wicked for Good. Check it out if you have time. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? So now that we actually made it through the articles, let me go full screen real quick. Now that we actually finally made it through the articles, chat, let's talk about something really quick. Y'all know, I be titling my streams like episodes. You feel me? So today's episode is called Tis the Season. Tis the season of seasoning, right? But what is the season for? Why did I say tis the season? Because there's a little thing called seasonality, right? Let's get rid of some of these pages really quick. There's a little thing called seasonality, right? Seasonality, chat. What is seasonality? Seasonality in investing refers to recurring patterns in financial markets that tend to happen at specific times of year, such as holidays, seasons, or fiscal quarters. These patterns can influence stock prices and trading trends. And investors use this information to create strategies like adjusting portfolios or making tactical asset allocation decisions. There it is in black and white. Examples include the Santa Claus rally around the holidays or the sell in May and go away effect. What does this mean in plain English? Because y'all know that's why I'm here. I'm here to take all of this financial jargon, all this, what do they call it? All this We're not going to sit here and filibuster. You know what I'm saying? We're going to cut this shit and say what it means. Seasonality basically is a way of identifying when a stock will make a specific move or when it's likely to make a specific move. I'll give you an example, right? I'll give you an example. Let's say there's a company. I'm gonna pull up a company. I like this example, right? Who owns North Face? VF Corporation, chat. So VF Corporation, right? You're paying attention? I hope you're paying attention. I'm gonna teach you a little bit about seasonality, right? So here is VF Corporation. I'm gonna go to year to date. Look at this, chat. Notice how from April all the way to basically October, this stock is basically shit. It starts right after March. Why do you think that is? I showed you what they own. Why do you think that is? Anyone, throw an answer in the chat and I'll tell you what the right answer is. You may get the right answer. It's very clear. This is a great example of seasonality. Let me make the chart bigger for you. This is a great example of seasonality, right? I told you, this is financial entertainment. Anything I say, you have to verify because I'm a nobody, right? You have to verify. But why would VF Corporation always be running up at the beginning of the year and then around March be tanking? Okay, you've thought about it long enough, right? Again, I showed you. What's something that they own? They own the North Face. Do you know what the North Face is? Most people in here know what the North Face is. It's a damn coat. They got backpacks. They got other shit, right? So if the company that owns North Face, VFC, think about it this way, chat. Right, the coat stuff, right? They go up because that's when coats are needed, when it's fucking cold. So yes, they're gonna make more money as the weather starts getting cold, right? But again, I taught y'all before, you gotta go against the grain, right? I'm gonna get back to that in a second. So look at this chart. Would you assume that the seasonality says that now that we're in November, VFC is going to start going up? If you're looking to invest in VFC, again, I'm not telling you to, I'm just giving you an example of how seasonality works. Wouldn't you say that now is probably around the time it's going to start going up? Why? Because it's starting to get cold. And people are going to be buying coats. And people are going to be gifting coats for Christmas. So VFC is going to improve, or they're going to be running up as they get closer to fall and winter. But then when spring rolls around, right? When you start approaching the end of March into April, into June and July, it's shit. Because who the hell is buying coats in the middle of the summer? Not enough people to keep this company running up in its stock price. But what I was saying earlier, chat, go against the grain. Who is buying coats in the middle of the summer? Your boy True. You want to know what I do? I go to Google and say, Google, what's the estimated hottest day of the year? I do that at the beginning of the year. I'm going to do that in 2026. I need a new leather jacket, and I'm going to say, what's the estimated hottest day of the year, right? And when it tells me someday, let's see. When it gives me a random day, It's going to guess and it's going to say, oh, probably around this day, right? It's going to be around July or August, right? So they're going to give me a day and it's going to be 100 degrees outside. And what is True going to do? I'm going to walk into a leather store on the hottest day of the year, and all those $500 leather jackets are going to be sitting on the rack for $30. And I'm going to be like, yeah, I want this one. Because how many people you think are shopping for a leather jacket in the middle of July? Not many. People are going to be shopping for coats and leather jackets when it starts to get cold. And that's why the prices are going to go up. So that's an example of seasonality. So reoccurring patterns. Seasonality is based on the idea that certain market behaviors repeat on a predictable schedule throughout the year, right? So the January effect. The tendency for the stock market to rally in January, sometimes attributed to investors re-entering the market after the holidays or tax loss harvesting at year end. So when you think about December, right? Shout out to Icy writing this down. When you think about investing in December, December is the end of the year. So a lot of people are going to either lock in profits or lock in losses, right? So they're going to do some selling. So you shouldn't be surprised when, as we're approaching Christmas, the market is red, right? Because people need to start closing their books before they go on vacation. They need to start saying, hey, I'm not going to hold this stuff as we go into the new year. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's get this stuff closed out. We're going to sell our positions. We're going to close our accounting books. The market's going to go down because people are going to be selling. But then the January effect is, hey, the year's begun. We're back at work. It's January 2nd. What's on the agenda today? Well, I'm a stock market investor. I'm a trader. I work for a hedge fund, whoever the hell I am. What's my job for the day? I need to go and buy some shit. I got to start getting some positions. January effect. Sell in May and go away. The historical observation that the stock market has a weaker performance during the summer months, May to October, compared to the winter months. Why? Because people are outside. People are outside. People are actually going to the park. They're going on picnics. Some people are shopping. But they're really waiting for like your cyber deals. They're waiting for your Black Friday, right? Santa Claus rally, a seasonal outperformance of the stock market during the last week of December and the first 2 days of the new year. Because after people lock in those profits, some people are going to start picking up new positions to go into the new year. I mentioned that before. That's the Santa Claus rally, i.e. the gift to investors. End of quarter effect, a period of high volatility as large funds rebalance their portfolios before the end of each quarter, right? Because each quarter, equities, stocks, companies, whatever you want to refer to them as, right? They have to report earnings. They have to report what they did. So on the other side of that, people who actually invest in those companies are going to start rebalancing their books. You feel me? You feel me? So this is how investors use seasonality, tactical asset allocation, right? Adjusting the mix of assets in a portfolio to capitalize on expected seasonal trends, right? Like increasing stock exposure during historically strong months, right? I mean, just think about it. Think about seasonality as it relates to your own personal life. If I had to assume at least 90% of the people in this chat, even on Twitch or on the internet, have a similar pattern when it comes to spending, right? At the end of the month is when most people are going to spend the least. Why? Because the beginning of the following month is when their largest bill is due, right? You're going to spend less at the end of each month because at the beginning of the next month, your largest bill is due. What's your largest bill? Your rent, your mortgage. For some people, it might be a car payment, right? So without even doing any analysis, any Google searches, I can just know based off of seasonality, that's an example, that most people are going to spend less at the end of the month. The people who spend more are probably in casinos, trying to get money for rent, probably trying to double their money so that way they can flex all month, right? Diversification, aligning investments with sectors or industries that tend to perform well during specific seasons. So this is a strategy that investors use, right? If I'm going to invest, would I invest in VFC during the summer months when I know it's going to go down? Or am I going to position myself closer towards the end of the year? So around this time, look at it. Around this time, so I can catch this equity when it starts to run up. You feel me? That's what people do, right? So tax planning, strategically managing investments near the end of the year to potentially lower tax obligations and using it as a filter. A trader might use seasonality to filter trades, only taking long positions when the seasonal trend is positive. So what are some of the ways? You're probably like, okay, now that we understand what seasonality is and you've given us examples, how do we actually find seasonality? One of the ways you could do that is you can go to stock charts. This is just one way. It's only one way, chat. There's plenty of ways you could do it. One of the ways is by going to stock charts. If you go to stock charts, it's going to have this bar here. You can type in a symbol. Let's say, for example, Amazon, right? We're going to go to Amazon. Wait, I think I lied to you guys, actually. Stock charts is not what I meant to go to. That is not what I meant to go to. Sorry, chat. I think I lied in your face. Hold up. Wait. Why is that there? Where's my website? 1 second. Give me 1 second. Because I straight up lied in you guys' face. I straight up lied in you guys' face. No, I'm not tripping. Oh yeah, it is stock charts. I was just on the wrong page. I told y'all I'm operating off of 27 minutes of sleep. Y'all getting what I got to give. Here we go. We're back on stock charts, chat. I'm going to post a link in the chat for you guys. For anybody who wants it, there it is. But here's stock charts. So what we want to do is we can type in again, we can type in our company, right? And let my brain work because my brain is completely shit right now. Why am I having such difficulty? That's why I told you guys, don't trust me. Here we go. Let's go to seasonality. And let's just go here, right? So Amazon, go, right? So look at the seasonality, right? When we're looking at the seasonality of Amazon, what are we seeing? We're seeing the highest months and we're comparing it to the lowest months. September is a low month. October is a high month. Then it slowly goes down, right? March is a high month. June is a high month. And you can actually change some of these years if you want to remove an anomalous year. So let's say, for example, you remove, for example, 2021 or something because of it was still part of the pandemic and you want to see how it changes this information. But this is how you can use seasonality charts. Let's say Apple. If somebody had to guess, when would you say Apple seasonality is? When would you say Apple seasonality is? Notice how it's lowest in September and in January. Why would it be lowest this month, right? Typically in September is when they announce the release of an iPhone, right? And sometimes it even comes out in this time frame. But the sales for iPhones, right, start to go up. And look at November, 80. And then June, July, 80 and 100. So during the summer months and during November, Apple's killing it. Apple's killing it. Why? Why is Apple killing it? Why is Apple killing it, chat? Because of this right here. Because kids are asking for iPhones for Christmas. And you don't want to be the parent who got asked to buy your kid an iPhone and you didn't get it. So in November, you're going to be like, listen, if I can catch a sale, if I can get an iPhone well before Christmas, let me go out and grab it. So these are the type of things that seasonality will give you, right? They mentioned Carvana in the article earlier. What's the seasonality for Carvana? July. Of course, that's the highest month. Why wouldn't it be? The cold months are the lowest. Of course, why wouldn't they be? People are going to buy more cars leading into the summer, right? Into the summer. So as the weather gets warmer, people are going to car shop even more. Trying to money bait you. Exactly. So you just have to pay attention to this type of stuff, right? So another one. So this is an example of how you can use seasonality as it relates to a company. But let's look at seasonality based on a sector. Right? So here is another website that you can actually use to look at seasonality, right? So this one is Equity Clock. Again, it's not the only, but it's one of. So you can see they have interactive charts as well, but you can actually look at some of these and it gives you the details on the seasonality for certain sectors, industries, etc. Right? So it's like, well, when is the seasonality for example, airlines, right? So airlines is obviously doing their big one from around December to May, right? Banks are doing their big one from around November to almost June. So you can look at this and determine like, okay, if I'm looking for a strategy or if I'm looking at where should I put my money next? And you're one of those people that like to move from, one investment to another. Because remember, we talked about the different options that people can, or the different ways people can invest. They can buy and hold. People may, go off the run up or the profit and sell and look for a different opportunity. This is just teaching you different ways to look for opportunity, right? Because you want to look for opportunity when a company is in its season, because that's when you're going to make the money, right? Do you want to be investing in without news? Let's caveat it, right? Without news, do you really want to be investing in automobiles when it's outside of its seasonality? No, because you're going to put your money there and you're going to lose your money. That should be virtually self-explanatory at this point. But again, these are the things you look for. This is the seasonality. So you have two different ways. And again, these aren't the only two ways, right? You can literally just type in seasonality and see what comes up and see which one you like, right? I want to touch on one more thing because I do have to actually get back to doing business, right? The last thing I want to touch on, chat, and this is going to relate to seasonality, is sector rotation. What is it? What is sector rotation? So sector rotation is an investment strategy where investors shift their money between different sectors of the stock market to capitalize on their performance during various stages of the economic cycle. This approach involves moving from sectors that are expected to underperform to those predicted to outperform with the goal of generating returns superior to the overall market. What does that mean? That's basically a version of seasonality, right? But because you're talking about the sector, right, you're looking at sector rotation. So this is how it works. Adapting to the economic cycle, right? The strategy is based on the theory that different sectors perform better at different times, and these patterns often correspond with the phases of the business cycle. So recovery, expansion, peak, and contraction, right? Shout out to Branch in the building. What's good? Right? So we're going to write this down. This is something that we got to get into the next time. We got to talk about the business cycle, right? Because what we want to do is we want to recognize how all these things can affect our money and our investment strategies. Identifying winning sectors, cyclical sectors. So during economic expansion, cyclical sectors like technology, consumer discretionary, and industrial tend to do well. Defensive sectors. When the economy is contracting, defensive sectors such as healthcare and consumer staples may be more stable because of demand for their products and services is less sensitive to economic downturn. Right? Timing the rotation. Investors aim to anticipate these shifts by tracking macroeconomic indicators like GDP growth, interest rates, and inflation to move their investments before a sector's performance peaks or declines. So you want to try to get ahead of it. That's when you get the biggest profit, by getting ahead of it. And then using ETFs. So this strategy can be implemented using individual stocks or through exchange traded funds that focus on specific sectors, right? So again, the purpose of this is to try to get the highest returns possible. Because again, like they said, cash, investing, let your money work for you. But everything we talked about today is another example of how you can stay vigilant. You can stay aware of what's actually going on. So that way you're using effort, but you're not exactly increasing your emotion, because your emotions are going to increase more whether you're losing money. They're definitely going to increase more when you're losing money. And then when you're winning, you're going to get really heightened. So in order to try to avoid having all your emotions in the market, you just need to understand how the market operates. So today was another day where we just covered some things to teach you that. We taught you about the volatility index. We taught you about the fear and greed and how that works. And we taught you about sector rotation. All those things play into each other, because don't you think that if a sector is getting ready to rotate, that investors or hedge funds are going to be greedy? Don't you think so? So these are all things that are important to keep your eye on. I'm 15, only think I'm investing in probably some new basketball shoes, etc. Well, yeah, I mean, the same applies, right? So let's go full screen really quick. So Branch says, hey, I'm just investing in basketball shoes, right? So how can we assist Branch? We're not providing you with financial advice, but how can a 15-year-old say, well, I'm not investing in the market, but I do buy some basketball shoes and some insoles, right? So a way to look at that is, how can you get basketball shoes less expensive? If your budget for basketball shoes is, let's say, $200, do you want to spend all $200? Or would you rather spend less on the same basketball shoe and be able to buy even more insoles, right? That's how Branch would approach the same information. And so how would Branch use seasonality to work for himself? Well, Branch will first understand, when is basketball season, right? When is basketball season? They're giving us the stats, but we want to say, okay, so basketball season runs from approximately late fall through early summer, with the specific timelines varying by league, right? So yeah, even beyond Black Friday, right? What you may do is you may look for a time frame that's outside of the regular season or outside of playoffs, right? Maybe when the season is ending. So if you get your shoes when the season is ending, basketball shoes are probably going to be less expensive. Why? Because the season is over. They're going to be trying to move that product. So Branch is going to say, yeah, Black Friday may be an opportunity. Cyber Monday may be an opportunity. If I miss those opportunities, unless I really need basketball shoes, maybe I start buying my basketball shoes one season in advance. So when this season ends, Branch, you go buy your basketball shoes for next season. You're 15. Your feet aren't going to grow that much. So you can probably get your basketball shoes for next season. Save yourself some money and be able to get more insoles or whatever else. Maybe you need to get some compression shorts. Maybe you need to get a new basketball. The cost of basketballs are very expensive. I know this because I own several basketballs. But that's one way that even as someone who doesn't really invest, maybe you only buy basketball shoes, maybe you only buy other things, how you can use seasonality. It's all about understanding the market, understanding the product, understanding what it is you're doing, right? Because like I told you, somebody like True, when am I going to buy my leather jacket? When am I going to get my coat? Am I going to get my coat when it's 10 degrees outside? No, that's when the coat's going to be the most expensive. I'm going to buy my coat on the hottest day of the year because it's going to be supremely discounted and I might be the only one shopping for coats. I got some cash left from like last year, so I'm sticking that in the bank and then hopefully buying it before December. Well, there you go. And again, you already know Black Friday is this Friday. Not telling you to go shopping, but if you have to go shopping and you need what you need, why not get it at a discount? You feel me? Shout out to that. But yeah, let's go, Chad. I appreciate everybody coming through. That's all I got for you today. I hope y'all learned something. W's in the chat. Y'all already know the vibes. Appreciate every single person that came through, whether you came through lurking, whether you came through giving biddies, whether you came through chatting. It don't matter. Y'all already know True going from zero to hero, and I appreciate every single one of you guys for showing me love constantly. Y'all know the vibes. But before y'all dip out, y'all stay right there and let's raid out. You feel me? Let's go. People online. A lot of people online. Okay. So I see somebody we can go to right now. Let's go show them some love. Y'all already know the vibes. When we get in there, we're going to have to put them Raid Train emotes up. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Make sure y'all tap in on Mondays. It's not a game, chat. It's not a game. If y'all want to know how True makes millions and millions of dollars, keep that on the low. This is how I do it. I'm not a gatekeeper. Putting you on. Let's go.